In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you an amazing Spectral Blades build that has been pretty effective for a while now, but with the massive Stasis Nerfs coming to Destiny 2, this is now the most powerful hunter subclass for PvP. Each section of this video covers different integral parts of the build, so be sure to stick around for all the sections so that you can get the best possible results when using this in the Crucible. Some of you may remember Spectral being dominant right before Beyond Light, and now that Stasis is getting massive overall nerfs, I thought this would be the perfect time to make a video about this because a ton of people are going to be switching from Stasis to Spectral. Although the Way of the Wraith subclass pairs well with any weapon, if you use precision weapons like snipers, hand cannons, or slug shotguns like Chaperone, this build is borderline broken, and I'll explain why later in this video. Now let's get into it, and if you learn something at any time throughout the video, be sure to hit the like button because it really supports the channel. Before we get into the central part of this build, we first need to cover the nightstalker setup that will enable you to get the most out of the overall build. This includes the jump, dodge, grenade, and the special corrosive smoke melee ability. Starting with the hunter jump, you've got three options to choose from: triple jump, strafe jump, and high jump. I actually used to use triple jump for a really long time, and it's a decent option, but I think the best choice here is strafe jump. Strafe jump allows you to move in a horizontal direction faster and more accurately while in the air. A common mistake that I see less experienced hunters making is using their second jump to propel themselves far into the sky and away from cover, making themselves a very easy target. So having that directional control with the strafe jump is really important to make sure that you have the ability to aim your jump to avoid enemy fire. Moving on to the dodge, we have either the marksman's dodge or the gambler's dodge. As its name suggests, the primary function of the dodge is to be evasive and make it more difficult for your enemy to land their shots. In fact, while you're in the dodge animation, your opponent loses aim assist on you, so it's extremely difficult to land precision hits. In addition, using the gambler's dodge near an enemy will instantly recharge your melee ability, and using the marksman's dodge will instantly reload your drawn weapon. My preferred dodge is the gambler's dodge. Just looking at the animations, it's clear that this dodge is much more evasive than the marksman's dodge. In addition, I think that getting your smoke bomb back from dodging is more valuable than reloading your weapon, but more on that later. Nightstalker hunters have three grenades: the Vortex, Spike, and Void Wall. The Vortex is okay, but since it takes a while to start dealing damage and ultimately it doesn't do that much damage, I don't recommend it. The Spike grenade is pretty decent, but in order for it to be effective, you must throw it on a wall, and sometimes it can be difficult to do that and it requires some planning. In addition, some of the map geometries in this game just really are not conducive to accurate spike grenade usage. Overall, I'd recommend using the Void Wall grenade. When it first impacts the ground, it rapidly unleashes a wave of void fire on the ground that, unlike the Vortex, does a lot of burst damage very fast. The Void Wall pairs especially well with the corrosive smoke melee ability to create what is colloquially known as the Wombo combo. This is when you first throw your smoke bomb onto an enemy to slow them and prevent them from escaping, and then throw the Void Wall on them to deal a massive amount of damage. The middle tree version of the smoke bomb sticks to opponents and deals damage over time, making the combo even more deadly. Also, just look at this, it's pretty hard to see while you're stuck with this thing. Even when used without the grenade combo, I think the smoke bomb is incredibly useful for the neutral game of this build, especially because you can instantly recharge it by using the gambler's dodge. I can't tell you the amount of 1v1s I've dominated by using the smoke to blind, slow, and burn my opponent, and then finish them off with a primary. If you land your shots, it's all but a guarantee that you'll win your 1v1 against a target trapped in smoke, especially because they can't really move or see very well. Let's move on to the core of this build. It's time to discuss the king of all neutral game perks, Flawless Execution. After you get a precision kill while crouched or sliding, Flawless Execution gives you 9 seconds of invisibility and 3 seconds of true sight, also known as the ability to see through walls. This is borderline broken when using weapons like snipers, hand cannons, scouts, and even pulses. Although the true sight wall hacks only last for 3 seconds, that's plenty of time to locate your opponents and come up with a plan of action. In addition to simply locating your opponents, you should also pay attention to their direction of movement or lack thereof, and their movement pattern. For example, if you notice your opponent is approaching from behind a wall and he is sliding a lot, you can expect him to probably slide out from behind the cover. This information will allow you to place your crosshair exactly in the right spot before he even gets there, and of course this is particularly valuable for snipers. Of course you have to first get a precision kill to activate all of this, but once you start those 3 seconds of true sight, you're basically unstoppable. This is actually a method I use to beat cheaters in the Trials of Osiris. When just one player is cheating but his teammates are normal players, I get true sight by killing the teammate, and that puts me on a slightly more even playing field when I try to snipe the cheater. Having that ability to see through walls is perhaps the most insane part about Flawless Execution, but the 9 seconds of invisibility can be very useful as well. Invisibility makes it harder for your opponents to spot you, and it can remove you from the radar, but this doesn't work like you probably think it does. So let me give you a quick 30-second invisibility crash course. Walking, crouching, and strafing will keep you off the radar, but if you boost, jump, or sprint, that will trigger a ping on the radar that lasts for 2 seconds. Keep in mind that after you begin your sprint and that 2-second ping expires, you'll be completely off radar for the remaining 7-ish seconds of your invisibility. During that time, you can continue sprinting and nobody will know you're there. Since the radar is so powerful in Destiny 2, players heavily rely on it to know your position, so removing yourself from the radar will enable you to go on some amazing and very unexpected flanks. In practice, this can look like going to a new, unconventional angle with your sniper, and since True Sight will tell you exactly where your opponent is, this can be a total power move. And while we're on the topic of radar, I just want to highlight the power of crouching. When you're crouching, your opponent's radar looks like this. When I go back and watch streams of other people playing against me, especially in trials, it's crazy how often I get a free kill on them because their radar doesn't detect me when they happen to glance at it. Oh, and also pro tip, if you're crouching when your invisibility ends, you'll remain off radar for a bonus 2 seconds. The invisibility and True Sight is fantastic, but perhaps the lesser known benefit of Flawless Execution is that it grants increased melee range. This is amazing if you're using something like a slug shotgun because you can get that first kill and then you'll be able to clean up subsequent opponents with a super range melee. In addition, performing a melee after a Flawless Execution also weakens your opponents, making them take more damage. You can see on screen here that body shots with this SMG are doing critical damage that is higher than a headshot under normal circumstances. Honestly, this is so rare of an occurrence that I don't really notice it, but I suppose it could be helpful for taking down a super in a team shooting situation. Before we move on to talking about the crazy Spectral super, I want to give you guys a bonus tip about activating Flawless Execution. In order to excel with this subclass, you're going to need to get in the habit of crouching whenever you get a final blow on an opponent, and this can be very burdensome when you're trying to rapidly move around the map. So instead of randomly crouching and limiting your mobility, you can slide while shooting, and since the game considers sliding equivalent to crouching, you'll still proc Flawless Execution. If you're liking this video so far, consider subscribing because I'll be making more videos like this that you won't want to miss. It's also free, and of course you can change your mind later. Moving on to the next essential thing about this subclass, and that is the super, the Spectral Blades. This is perhaps the best roaming super in the game, and the fact that it is paired with a strong neutral game of Flawless Execution and Wombo Combo is what makes this subclass so dominant. However, if you use this super incorrectly, it's actually kinda bad, so here are some things to know in order to use it at peak efficiency. A common mistake that I see newer Spectral Blade users doing is spamming the light attack while on the ground. In my opinion, you should basically never do a light attack while you're on the ground. Instead, if you perform a hop and then instantly light attack afterward, you will travel much further and much faster. The key to using the super is to stay invisible as much as possible, use that jump plus swipe combination to close the gap against your opponent, and then do a light attack followed immediately by a heavy attack in order to kill your opponent. Doing the heavy attack makes you go invisible again, and this is essential because while you're invisible, your super will last longer and you'll take less damage. Additionally, the hit registration on this super is good, but not perfect. That's yet another reason why you should kill your opponent by using a light attack followed by a heavy attack. The chance of both of those whiffing in a row is very, very low. Another really important thing to remember with this super is that, while you're invisible, it lasts longer than basically every other super in the game. For this reason, I'm pretty confident in my ability to win a 1v1 super fight against basically any other roaming super. I'll be able to see them coming with True Sight, and I'll know the perfect time to perform the light attack, heavy attack combo. And since this super lasts absurdly long, I can also just wait for their super to expire and then swipe in to finish them off. That insane duration coupled with the invisibility allows the Spectral to pull off some insane plays that aren't possible with other supers. With Arcstrider, for example, you've basically just got to push in and try to close the gap. But on Spectral, you can just chill for quite a while, see exactly where your opponent is running to, and then take an angle to cut them off. It's actually hilarious how many times I pop my super and my opponents think they know where I am, but then since I can see where they're headed, I take a completely different route and they have no idea as I'm invisible and off radar. Like, look at this trials clip. These guys were so clueless and they thought I was in the middle of the map because I popped my super there, but then I surprised them by coming out of their own spawn. The last thing that makes this super so powerful is the insane AoE that it does. While testing for this video, look how I accidentally killed Tony when I wasn't anywhere near him. This is a pretty common occurrence in game. This super kinda hands out free kills. Also, pro tip while using this super. Normally you can only swipe once while in the air, but if you swipe while traveling over an object like you can see on screen now, it will allow you to perform 2 aerial swipes in a row, making you travel at pre-nerf behemoth speeds. If you'd like to learn more cool things like this, we have an amazing community Discord that is filled with tons of knowledgeable players and creators. I'm pretty confident they could answer literally any question about Destiny 2, and we'd love to have you join us. The link to join is in the description. Next up, we're discussing the best weapons to pair with this subclass in the insane neutral game that it has. Since Flawless Execution requires a precision kill to proc, naturally precision weapons like hand cannons and snipers will be the best fit with this subclass. However, the great thing about hunters and their amazing movement is that you can pair really whatever you want with a hunter build. Although pellet shotguns will really only proc Flawless Execution that rare 5 to 10% of the time that you happen to hit a headshot, the Corrosive Smoke, Wombo, and Super still make this subclass very viable shotgun pairing in the current sandbox. Also, since the quick draw nerf, slug shotguns like Chaperone have become increasingly prevalent, and since slugs are always hitting headshots, this pairs beautifully with Flawless Execution. If you do that typical slide shotgun move except with a slug shotgun, you'll proc Flawless Execution every time and it can lead to crazy sprees. At the time of recording this video, Bungie has basically come out and said that a nerf to all pellet shotguns is on the horizon, so that will make slug shotguns even more viable, and snipers for that matter. Moving on to the stats and mods for this build, you're going to want to make sure that you run max mobility with the potential for an exception when using Dragon's Shadow, but I'll explain why I still run 100 mobility in the next section, so hang on. For hunters, the mobility stat makes it so that you can dodge more often, so this is a vital stat on any hunter build. It also makes you jump higher, so I suppose that added maneuverability can be beneficial. The next stat you want to look for is recovery. Same as mobility, you're going to want to run as much recovery as possible, ideally 100. Having high recovery allows you to regenerate your health sooner and get back into the action much faster, and that is very important for getting more kills, staying alive, and helping your teammates. Since Intellect makes your super recharge faster and Spectral is a quite dominant super, I would recommend speccing fairly high in Intellect as well, probably somewhere in the 50 to 80 range. Normally I wouldn't really care about the resilience stat very much, but due to the power of 120 hand cannons, you might want to run 50 resilience so that you'll be able to survive 1 crit and 2 body shots from a 120. I wouldn't recommend prioritizing discipline here. The grenades are good, especially when paired with the Wombo combo, but the other stats are simply much more beneficial in my opinion. Strength helps you regenerate your smoke bomb faster, but since you'll be using Gambler's Dodge to instantly recharge your smoke, I wouldn't say this stat is very important either. As for the actual mods on your armor, there's a fair amount of personal preference involved here, and it really comes down to what weapons you're using. When sniping, for example, I like to run sniper targeting, unflinching sniper aim, and 2 sniper rifle scavengers. If you want more details about which sniping mods are the best and overall how to become a better sniper, check out my sniping guide video that's in the top right corner and also linked in the description. I will mention though that the seasonal mods Radiant Light and Powerful Friends are, well, powerful because they give you plus 20 strength and plus 20 mobility respectively and make you become charged with light with super usage. When it comes to exotics, I'll be straight up with you. Dragon's Shadow is my favorite exotic and it has been for years. I have so many different stat rolls so I can min-max my builds and mods with a variety of setups. The perk on this exotic is Wraith Metal Mail. Dodge reloads all your guns and buffs movement speed and weapon handling. This lasts for about 10 seconds, grants 50 mobility, and all your weapons will handle extremely well during this time. This is of course amazing for snipers in general, but also the technique of hitting a body shot with your sniper and then rapidly switching to a primary to finish them off. Due to the quick draw nerf, Dragon's Shadow has also become an absolutely top tier choice for shotgun users. The handling from Wraith Metal Mail partially negates the quick draw nerf, making shotguns draw and aim down sights much faster, and this is often the difference between winning and losing an engagement. Lastly, I'm going to answer a question that I get asked all the time. Why do you run 100 mobility when Wraith Metal Mail gives you plus 50? If you run, say, 50 mobility on your character, this means that your mobility will constantly be switching back and forth between the usual total of 50 and the other total of 100 when you have the Wraith Metal Mail active. Some of you may be unaware of this, but mobility affects the speed at which you strafe. You can see on screen now that the difference is pretty noticeable. In the actual game, the effect is almost like making a minor change to your sensitivity without your knowledge, so that's why I run 100 mobility so that my strafe speed is always the same and I can be as consistent as possible with my snipes. Running 100 will also help you regenerate your dodge faster after a death makes you lose the Dragon's Shadow buff. The next exotic I'd recommend is the Stompies. I'm sure you've heard this is an amazing movement exotic and you probably already use these boots to get better sprint, slide, and jumps. I will mention though, Stompies are great for this build because the improved slide will give you a better opportunity to proc Flawless Execution while sliding. Another good but less popular choice is the 6 Coyote. This exotic makes your dodge have 2 charges, and of course this will make you much better at surviving, and I suppose it will also give you more opportunities to recharge your smoke bomb. As Drewski pointed out in a recent video, pairing this exotic with weapons that have the Surplus perk can be amazing because the extra dodge means that Surplus will basically always be active and grant you a constant boost to handling stability and reload. The last exotic I'll mention is Khepri's Sting. Again, this is a somewhat less popular choice, but I think it's pretty funny and definitely useful in the right situations. It allows you to gain walls by throwing the smoke on yourself, and since you're running corrosive smoke, it also allows you to nearly one-shot opponents with a sticky smoke bomb. I'm not sure if this exotic is the most competitive one I've mentioned, but it's certainly hilarious to stick someone with an unexpected smoke bomb that deals so much damage. Overall, this build pairs incredibly well with a sniper due to the invisibility and true sight that you've seen me abuse this whole video. I recently ranked every non-sunset sniper into a tier list so you can get a better idea of which snipers are the best and which ones are kinda garbage. That's the top video on your screen now. Alternatively, if you'd like to learn how to become a better sniper so that you can be more successful while using this build, check out my comprehensive sniping guide. It's the bottom video on your screen and it's also in the description.